What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and it's happening. We now have Democratic leaders pressuring Twitter to deplatform President Trump. We've seen Twitter go into full censorship mode, blocking nearly every single thing President Trump tweets. First and foremost, he should have went to Parler, and he should have gave Parler a shout out. He should be doing that right now, because Parler isn't going to block him the way Twitter does. Second of all, to me, and this is, of course, I understand my leanings and where this might be bias, but it certainly seems to me that there is an absolute political bias in terms of who's actually getting censored. Yesterday, we got to see a lot of Democratic people declaring Joe Biden president and seeing it not get censored, and anybody declaring the same about President Trump is in fact getting censored. This is not a coincidence. This is a look at real time what big tech is going to do now. And before I get into the whole topic, a tiny bit of good news. There's only a couple days left to enter, but I want to remind you that I'm giving away an Xbox Series X game console. It's a $500 console. You can't get them anywhere right now. They're sold out everywhere. And the rules will be in the pinned comment below on how to enter. It's super easy, super quick. You can do it right after this video. Best of luck to you. Now, this article via Reclaim the Net, which does a great job covering a lot of tech censorship stuff. Democrats pressure Twitter to deplatform President Trump as election hangs in the balance. Twitter has been mass censoring President Trump since election night. And uncertainty mounts in the 2020 presidential election result, Twitter has responded by engaging in one of the largest censorship efforts to date by taking down accounts, hiding numerous posts, and mass censoring the president. We've seen them remove accounts. We've seen them hiding just about every speculation. And in fact, it's really just speculation of positive news for President Trump that seems to be getting taken down. You see a wide variety. You have Deanna Lorraine with 400,000 Twitter followers. Lorraine's tweet using the hashtag #StopTheSteal, alleging that electoral fraud was happening across the country, and spelled the word as fraud, F-R-O-D, reminiscent of the way Chinese democracy activists attempted to circumvent their country's internet censorship by inventing a code language. According to NBC News, the purge did not stop with silencing of this Republican, as a raft of accounts belonging to independent journalists whose following on the centralized platform reached 100,000 people got banned on election day for terrible things such as posting what's deemed to be, quote, misleading or politically charged images and videos from recent events. Twitter was willing to speak to NBC News in order to explain what happened there, but the explanation didn't amount to much. There was a bunch of anti-spam rules, something as vague and difficult to prove as a coordinated platform manipulation. Congressman and, quote, antitrust subcommittee chairman David Cicilline called for President Trump's account to be suspended until all votes are counted. Are you joking? God, dude, Trump, he blew it. Look, even if he lost this election, he could have left us with the internet in a much better place. He ignored Section 230 until it was too late. He knew this when he got elected in 2016, and he did nothing over the last 4 years to do. I mean, they bring these CEOs up onto congressional hearings with Zoom calls, and nothing changes. Nothing happens. And now on the most important time during the Trump presidency, he can't communicate with his own viewers, or his own supporters, or the American people at large. Congressman Jerry Connolly also demanded that Trump's Twitter account be suspended. Suspend his account, Twitter. This is pure disinformation. Valid votes are being counted. This is America, not Russia. Except these are the very same people that have been espousing Russia for years. For years. So theories about corruption are only, just like we've seen with many people in government, it's rules for thee, but not for me, like we saw with Nancy Pelosi in her little hair salon visit, right? The outside interference or corruption is only convenient when they're talking about it to own Drumpf. It couldn't possibly be happening in an election where we've had thousands of people who aren't even alive anymore cast ballots. People who are 120 years old in Michigan and Texas cast ballots in the 2020 election. This is not speculation. This is not misinformation. This is fact. Now, I don't know who they voted for, but they voted. And you shouldn't be able to cast votes from beyond the grave. Not only are opponents of sitting president pressuring the multi-billion-dollar company to restrict his ability to speak one day after the election that has yet to be called, but his comments also reflect his efforts to pressure big tech to censor more, quote, misinformation as a part of antitrust conversations. But remember, it's not actual misinformation, right? It's information that they don't like. In most cases, yes, there is legitimate misinformation. All right. There are legitimate videos that, remember the video of a guy burning ballots yesterday that went viral? I watched that video and it seemed fishy to me. And then it turned out that they were sample ballots. Okay. So that is misinformation. And when that spreads, you know, I'm not saying you should remove it, but flagging that as having been debunked is a reasonable reaction. But when you see the level, I'm going to show you in a minute. When you see the level that they're going to right now with the current sitting president, I mean, I sure hope if everything holds and he ends up losing, I sure hope on the way out the door, he absolutely makes sure to decimate Section 230. That would be my one ask. Not only are opponents to them, during an antitrust hearing in July, the same guy complained about the most shared articles on Facebook in 2020 and suggested they will cost lives. He also urged Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to protect people from demonstrably false claims related to the coup and indicated the platform is too big to contain horrible content, dangerous content. The Democratic presidential nominee, Joe Biden, and his running mate, Kamala Harris, are also big proponents of big tech companies silencing Trump. In September, the Biden campaign called for Facebook to remove Trump's posts, and Kamala has repeatedly pressured Twitter to deplatform Trump. Kamala Harris tries to and fails to make a Trump Twitter ban an important election issue. Listen to me, people. Click like on this button. Click the red subscribe button. Support Alt Tech. Okay? This isn't some wild theory. I'm not publishing videos that are anywhere near some sort of wild theory. This is factual. If you look at the president's Twitter feed right now, look at 57 minutes ago, censored. 1 hour ago, censored. What did he write? Stop the fraud. What's wrong with that? Literally, what's wrong with that? What does this one say? Of all the recent Biden claims, states will be legally challenged for us. Voter fraud and state election fraud, plenty of proof. Just check out the media. We will win America first. Again, that's not misinformation. They recently uncensored Stop the Count, but that was censored for a while. Again, also people are purposely misunderstanding Stop the Count. He means stop the count until they can get people in there to oversee it, not stop the count forever. This is just a tiny view of what's to come. I'm telling you. Twitter censors and labels a wave of tweets from GOP officials in Pennsylvania. A state that currently, by the way, you know, they're not going to call until they find enough votes for their guy, is how it feels. This is a state that has 92% counted. Trump leads by 100,000 votes, and they refuse to call it. Why? North Carolina, 95% Trump. He's up by 80,000 votes. They haven't called it. Except in Wisconsin, he's up by a whopping 20,000 votes, and they already called that. None of this makes sense. It's absolutely within your right as a citizen to ask why. How did Texas count 11 million votes and Nevada doesn't even have 1 million counted? Why do you think they're holding this? They're waiting, in my opinion, to see if they're going to, quote unquote, need the state. Because unless Trump takes Arizona, they won't need it. Then all of a sudden, magically, Nevada will be counted instantly. I promise you that. Trump's down 70,000 votes in Arizona. He's probably not going to get it. But this is what the actual effect looks like to our ability to get information from leadership and also to share information amongst ourselves on social media. Trump really has to push some alt tech out there. He's got to use his platform to support alt tech because this is what is going to cause him problems. They allowed Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all these social media, Silicon Valley companies to be actively meddling, in my opinion, in this process. And whether I'm saying good or let's say Trump wins, okay, for all the people that are partisan and they can't see through that, I don't care. Even if Trump wins, my point stands. Section 230 absolutely must be rewritten before Trump is out of office, whether that's this year or in 4 years, because this is just a taste of what's to come. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, support alt tech, and we'll talk to you again real soon.